reduced to a whimpering, mumbling, reduced to, yeah, I've been rendered speechless for a month. I have bemoaned, not why me, but certainly poor me. I've been living with the real people out in this world right now. I heard it quoted to me recently that the city streets, and it's beginning to flood over into the nicer neighborhoods as well, suburbs and gated communities. The city streets is turning into an extension of the pod, the county lockup, or state, federal prisons. I have endured. I need a hug. I need a hug. And I am learning not to take people's inventories. I am so grateful for this last month. It's been incredible living with grown men who are like me, need some work. A whole lot of work. And when you're doing the right thing, a lot of these men will do their best to, let's just say, colorfully verbalize their distaste, their disinterest, their distrust, their disfavor, their disflower, their dismemberment, their discord, their discontinued, their complete lack of control, and then seeing someone focus. Another reason why I haven't gone live a lot is because, my goodness, I've had lower back pain, and if it takes longer to, wrap up one's day, get something to eat, crawl, and struggle into the shower, and then finally navigate to a place to lay down. I work with steel now every day, all day. Immovable. Somewhat draining as well, but finally struggle, relax. I've noticed that in my forced sort of hermitage from just posting it, I can't blame it on anybody. Again, I'm not taking anybody's inventory. I'm looking back on the last month. Finally getting to YouTube, lower back, sciatic, oh, and then just, wow, just everything is kind of, am I part of this? Big pot, this big cauldron full of, in a way, extreme sort of noiding out over every little. Oh my God! Look! Did you? I've quit taking the president's inventory. Dude that got in my face 2 weeks ago. Yo, man, you really get on my nerves. You remind me of C Block. I'm like, dude, how did you fit those shoulders into C Block? How did you even get into C Block? Shut up, it ain't funny. I'm like, I'm just, it's my dying wish to go out laughing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. Ooh, boy. What? Who? What? Nothing. I was on a big old forklift today, only a 16,000 pound, 16,000 pounds. But I couldn't fit it into this little garage area. Well, I mean, I could have. My boss would have. He would have driven right on in there, but I was like, this is dark and scary. So I backed the big one out. I went and got the little forklift. I was, get on down the line. Pulled in that big old dark little garage. Finally, my eyes adjusted from the simulator outside to being inside. And I was just like, life is scary. This pitchfork could kill me. Just like dude from the other day. Life, I just, every I wait till the butterflies come. Butterfly, if it flaps its wings hard enough, Nibiru is going to come kill us all. That was funny, actually. I'm ducking and dodging Skid Row Joe and Tyrone, needy. I'm living with these people, working with them. Only thing I did wrong, I did two things wrong. I go to AA meetings and showed up 7 days in a row for the boss for a couple of weeks. Like went to work on Sundays. Doing things right, folks. You Skywatchers especially. Oh yeah, I know. I'm Monty. I see you, Monty. There's a floor. No, I took a big step back from the big wading pool, the big communal bath, all scraping off, like running big communal bath of social media. And I'm like, wow, do I sound like that sometimes? I'm pretty certain that, what? Life is hard. People are mean. But then I always look up. I always notice the sky. And 2 days ago, as happens, as much, it's 50-50 that in Cincinnati, on that magical river, that there's a huge halo around the sun. Or, yeah, I mean, I took video yesterday morning. I was on the river working on a barge. We have 3,275,000 tons off a barge. Yeah, it was incredible. And the sun wasn't even up yet. So it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. And off in the west, tucked over the Ohio River, right over Kentucky, there's this rainbow. The sun hadn't even come up in the east yet. And there's this rainbow just lurking, hiding, just skimming directly over the horizon. The sky kisses us and talks to us and caresses us. And I went to my hill once or twice. Who else here? Hi, Whitetail. Working. Would you? I don't even touch my phone at work anymore. I don't. My boss. He has cameras everywhere, and I appreciate that kind of motivation because I've been living with animals, men who disregard all rules, and I'm not going to take anybody's inventory. I'm setting a different example, and being held accountable is good for the soul. Putting your cell phone down until lunch break. There's just something beautiful. It takes about 2 days to get used to. Yeah, but I've been, working and living with uh, kind of, kind of what's really out there in this world. People are unhinged. Hot dog or a sandwich? Definitely a sandwich. Hi, Venus. Is John P. here? Who all's here? I didn't even want to go live. Craig Mahan. Did I even text you? I was just thinking about you. I see your Facebook text all the time, but Facebook. Yeah, you get your. Yeah. Michelle Roos, I keep getting your text. I know stuff's getting interesting. Zach. Cooling. Tribulation Kids. Wow. Amy Film Channel. That's a cool name. Emmy. Sis Dunn. Daniel Barry. I love saying your long ass name. It just brings joy. No, it's good that you all are here. Because I don't care anymore. um, we're all under, and I took notes, we're all under a duress. If you're a giving kind person, and if it's been 10 years or more since you've done anything stupid, young, irresponsible, selfish, whatever, then you deserve a break today. You really do, all right? But people like us are convicted because we're empaths. And if you have any kind of faith, then that's a double-decker, like a big old sandwich with cheese and pickles. You're a deep person. And don't forget that, okay? I just broke it down real quick. A lot of times it sounds like frequencies or you repeating, remembering, and I'm telling you, that's called the accuser. He's a liar, and he stank like brimstone and kind of pitch, and it's nonsense to engage in and to ignore that there's that kind of, let's just say, uh, uh, input that a lot of righteous people like you and I are enduring these days. Plain and simple. I just broke it down because I've been studying it. Notice again, I'm being rather unplugged tonight. Oh, that reminds me. Notice I'm not blaming it on any day, frequency, whatever. It has to do with frequencies and a lot of other stuff, but just breaking it down simple. So number one, I'm not engaged in the milieu, in the big communal splooge of everything being, and I have been for 10 years. There are a lot of things that really concern me, but I don't have to necessarily, I haven't wanted to talk because I've been ducking. I've been in survival mode, literally, with these men that I've been living around. And I don't mind talking about it because they all had to come to respect me. It was a bunch of, it was like I lived in a jail, in a pod, in a prison. It was rough. I didn't go live. I couldn't sit here enjoying myself and talking about science and having fun and playing an acoustic guitar around people who are so hardened by life that they will ruin something worth ruining. I'm a sky watcher. I don't have to really necessarily, I just realized, I was like, wow. Sometimes I'm like, hey everybody, it's 7. My nightly report. I'm like, dang. You got I'm like, man, lighten up, Seth. 10 years prepping, spending money on stuff that I haven't touched or used. Maybe ignoring maybe not maybe definitely could have put money away and buying foil blankets to survive freezing temperatures and little water purification bicycle pump looking things and everything else under the sun. Thousands of dollars. Ain't touched none of it. I don't know where most of it is. I mean, I'm exaggerating. No, I'm not exaggerating at all. And computers and governments and politics and so I just put it all down for a minute while I was kind of, surviving. And yeah, it hurt to put it down because I'm compassionate and emotional about a lot of stuff in this world, obviously, with what's going on. But I also realize I'm somewhat opinionated sometimes, and maybe sometimes I'm a little too, maybe I watch a little too much social media. But I need to be careful, and then I realized that I'm just being cautious, and I need to vet what was going on because so much went on so quickly. You've all done your research. You're all interested. You're interested in what the captain's going to say. I know, so I can sense a couple of you right now, like, Seven, stop being so meek. We want to hear what you've got to say. What's your take on what's been going on in the world? Okay, we know you're being humbled and broken down. A lot of us are. Get to the point. No, but this has been scary. It's been scary. People, I had to tell one dude, because one of these fools, spent 16 years locked up. We're working together up on the docks, up off the Ohio River. I did the math yesterday. Another one of the idiots, I told him, I know better than to talk to dumbasses from the street. Or even worse, people who have been locked up and still have that, I call it prison parenting. The other dude, we're working, man, put that file out, man, what you doing over there? Pick that up, man, move that, I'm gonna call the boss. Finally, one day, the boss was pulling up in a big old piece of equipment. And I just told him, I said, you're crazy. You crazy. Listen, you are delusional, dude. You hallucinate stupid shit. We are here working for $1 million company, trying to earn a living, and you over here talking about kicking things over, move this, move that. I said, you are insane. You are prison parroting. Listen to you. And the boss he didn't know I was jumping around by that point. Because they don't want to see me get, and it was bad for me. I started absorbing that toxic energy, and it went into my back. And then I just got into work mode. I was like, I'm going to suck it up. And, 3 or 4 just idiots that were all, half of them living in this house, half of them at work, all just had a little prison parroting meeting about kicking me out. And I'm the one that goes to church. And the only one now that's here with a car. It was interesting. I had a blank money order that I left in my room, and it disappeared. That was smart. Finally, everybody who I've been doing this, I'm just ducking and dodging and taking their blows. The whole time, I kept all right, I'm just going to meetings, and I didn't mean to show up at work on Sunday. I've been able to weather the blows, and don't you know, they're all gone. All of them. And not so much physically in this place, because they will always have left a little stain on my heart, and they might come back, but they're gone in any sense that they had any control over my psyche, because as they're out there meeting women on Facebook, I mean, it's so disgusting, if you can call them women. Hood rat, look up Ray Street, or Avondale, well, I mean, I don't know about all that marketplace Facebook, but, and just out with, some chick with kids with facial hair and Facebook of their own, and, you know, and then a week later, they want a ride, or they need something, or they've missed an appointment at work. Okay? And it always becomes my fault or your fault. Or but then a point comes where they realize who they are. And by the time they blink, realizing who they are, and then blink back at a person like you or me, we're already 3 levels higher. And they have to stop putting forth the effort to be energy vampires. And that's exactly what I've done. Did I internalize a lot of it? Yes, because you either do that or you fight. You become their level. You do keep arguing. You can't get your job done. The boss isn't impressed. The landlord's not impressed. Other people aren't impressed. Nobody's impressed. Nobody cares. And they win. Or somehow, you know, allow yourself to just be the hands and feet of kindness, but still work, or make it happen in any different, you know, mixture. I mean, I even realized I was surrounded by toxic masculinity. And then, of course, I reflected back on my own examples of that in my life, whatever, which led me back to realizing that something great to say to people tonight is don't let the lies of anything, especially circumstances that are in the past and out of your grasp, to indicate, you know, how the warrior that you really are today. Because you're setting more of an example than you know. What I'm sad about is that it almost made me harden my heart. It almost made me callous. It almost made me bitter. It made me, I even said stuff like that last night in front of a group of friends. And somebody told me today, get off your high horse. Humble yourself. Stop trying to be in charge. I was mad at that person for about 3 seconds. I was like, and then I realized, wow. Because you don't have to do any of that when you rise above it. So, I do want to talk about some current events, because I am out of whack. And why? Because it's something that I've been saying for 10 years. The lightning bugs are disappearing. And that sucks. You know, an hour ago, what time is it? That's sunset is now at like 8:30 or so. So an hour ago, sunset, and only in the west, only in the horizon, right over the sun, were they nuking the sky, because they've begun doing an interesting thing here now, and I've been displaying it on those interesting Halo videos that I've been doing. The one from 2 days ago was a trip. I didn't know it until somebody pointed it out, but there were shoulders, a head, and a cyclopean effect from the simulator in the middle of it. It was really interesting, because at first I thought, man, that's just a trick of light, and it kind of was. It sort of is. There's a lot of shapes in the clouds, but some of them really do look like beings. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. My mom wrote a song called "The Invisible Spaceman" once, and I kind of didn't really like it, but now I'm like, I don't know. I think my mom was right. I even called my twin sister today and said, sis, Sev, tell mom she was right about the invisible spaceman. I hope she gets the message. I'm reaching out to my whole family right now. I'm supposed to go hang out with Lucky tomorrow. I mean, they don't do, it's hard to just emphasize that their technologies improve and increase and adapt and multiply and change and morph every day. I wanted to do a whole special, like, complaining video. I wanted to do a 2-minute video on the big spiral ones that go through the sky. What spirals through the sky? What does that? What's spiral? How's it go spiral? Like noodles. Like when your mama spent, you know, and you was like, I like spaghetti better because these are shaped funny. What me? So it was only so that day when I got that video 2 days ago, and it's always the same time. By the way, when the halo pops out, 11 o'clock, just about in the morning. It's a trip. Hi, Craig. You guys going to play music? Oh, I will say. I'll say hi to Lucky for y'all. You know these drones they're using, anti-gravity for them. That's why all these scientists. Because I remember when the chemtrails came first came out 10 years ago. This is all so laughable, by the way. I remember when they first came out. It'd be planes. You could hear the plane, just like growing up. You could hear planes. You could always hear a plane. And yes, you know, going faster than sound of, you know, speed of sound, and they're at cruising altitude. You could hear the plane. You could look up. You could see it getting close to your city. You could hear jets. Now you just look up and that's the sound that I made the other day, and it's effective, and I like it. It's my channel, and you just look up. And haven't heard a thing. Even the jets. The fact that often now, more often than not, when they do, just go Bob Ross on that ass, on the sky. There's shadows above what's been done. So how is the light? I'm just saying, when you got the shadow ones out there, you know, you all know what I'm talking about. It's a zing, and then there's a darker one above it, and they completely match, and so forth and so on. Usually the original one, I just call them sky makeup. The original one is a little bit in front of the shadow, but then you look and the shadow is above the original trail. That morning when they did that, it wasn't, I thought it was strange because it wasn't 100 of them. It was like 20 of them. And I was like, okay, guys, you know, but they changed. They filled out, like some of you were referring to, they filled out, hi, Magnus, the sun simulator casts shadows of those jet trails upward and away from us. Okay, so how? What's your name? Hold on, let me write you down. Magnus. Hi, Kyle Demogru. So is it that the simulator is bouncing off of pavement, or? Hi, Curious Georgia. I mean, I honestly think of my experience as kind of like if like Yoda lived in the hood, you know, and that planet was in the hood, and Luke and R2D2 had to go to the hood and find Ghetto Yoda. It's just that on the hood, Ghetto Yoda. But there's, because I'm ready to, and I don't have to do anything. You know, you hood when you can be Denzel and just outsmart people by outworking, outclassing, you know, outperforming. I mean, and I heard it at a meeting last night that that's somewhat egotistical and obnoxious of me, but I'm just talking. You know, but I walk the walk, and I show up every day on time, even if I got to take a bus. I don't. I got the Nibi ride back. But you know, haters gonna hate, and I grew up that way, and my daddy was as well. He was from the south side of Chicago. I've had to reflect on that, and like enough is enough. And then I went and looked at apartments yesterday, and apartments are between 1,000 and 12, 13, 1,400. You think Wi-Fi and utilities and furniture, and there's a whole other entrapment. I was worried about talk about outperforming. I got the car back, now it's time to get an apartment. And I thought, chill, baby, chill, baby, chill. I haven't bought clothes for myself since 2020. That wonderful year. Low key bump 2020. Still sad, still ain't got no money. I ain't got a watch up on my wrist. Still I got some things I gotta fix. Low key bump 2020. Anybody know that song? You should go look it up. I hate that year. That was the worst year. JP, I public enemy number one. Yeah. Samaritan's Purse has accepted my application to come build me a new home after Helen. Yeah, freaking incredible, Georgia. I started. Oh, I heard about that down. Yeah, that's in my notes. No, okay, so I just have to finish kind of what I was saying. It was a whole different look at the sky. And now how there's this deliberate, in your face, real obnoxious fact that they continue to do all of this in lieu of everything that we're all getting ready for, which I haven't spoken about yet, like disclosure day. And I mean, I'll tell you about the Trump administration when it comes to UAPs and stuff. They were supposed to release information on the 14th of April. They didn't release it yet. And that was as of yesterday. I'm sure they haven't yet. He gets up and just kind of, hey, for those of you who are into that kind of stuff, I don't necessarily believe, you can read. I mean, he's mocking it. He, who was the one who said all boldly, I'm going to see to it that the Department of War and that the Pentagon release everything on UAPs. But why did he do it? He did it because Barack had the cheek the day before to have mentioned it on air. And that made little Trumpy Poo mad. Was it because of classified information? He's not supposed to talk about that. He's not supposed to talk about that. You could tell that he was mad. Now, I've referenced toxic masculinity and let's just say not getting along and not being able to play nice. Look, I look like I have a little Hitler mustache. That ain't cool. The whole video I've kind of had to reference how difficult it seems these days to get along with certain people. That being said, Trump didn't seem like he was mad like the president. He seemed like he was mad, like some little punk who didn't get his way. Seven, don't worry about the lighting, dude. It's just that little Hitler mustache was getting on my nerves. He did. So he got mad that Barack had brought it up. And Barack just played it off, kind of like I do around here. I don't do nothing, It just works. I'm working. Barack is, I don't even, Area 51 my ass. Next day, Trump is all up in it. You didn't even talk about it. You're not even supposed to just pacify it. You'd get in very big trouble for that. Next day after that, everybody has to come out and talk about it. All I see, I'm sorry, but I've begun watching Diaper Diplomacy. And if you haven't seen it, it's the people who were able to take AI and make baby with the politicians. And they're more believable than the real ones are. Because he's totally dropped his promise to release anything about any files from the War Department or from...
They sold Biden up there, and that's one. Very violent. Very, very violent.
The Pentagon. But it keeps coming out about it. You know, notice I'm not talking about the island or the files, because why did I not write down that one congressman? What's his name? Tim, the congressman who's coming out about just UFOs, the guy with the glasses. You know, we're not going to find out. I don't care. I don't want to hear about files. And when these people are, they started with Diddy and threw him under the bus, and you know, Bill Cosby, he got thrown under the bus. But this whole thing, and one person has gone to jail, and it was the woman, Tim Burchett. Yeah. I mean, this is getting really, let me write his name down. This is getting really interesting. It really is. Of course, he's got his haters. He said there was hybridization, and that takes a hardened UFO skywatcher like me and makes me go, nah. But then to stop and think about it, you know, and he's pretty convincing, and he's been outspoken about this for quite a while, and yet I'm not going to let myself linger on that warm, fuzzy feeling I get as, say, you know, an amateur ufologist, let's just say, because I don't know. Because when Trump came out and said his little promise, I didn't really, I kind of got a little excited about it, and nothing came of it. And Tim Burchett, however you pronounce it, himself has said that it's just more of the same, which I was able to really absorb for a month alone. No videos, no talking about it, no entertaining thoughts of it possibly. The evidence of it is all around. I see it. I post videos. That one thing that skirted in front of this house earlier this week was so close and bright and just wobbling and slowing down and changing course, and the sunsets and sunrises, I can't get to them like I used to, and I realize, again, counterintuitive in terms of 10 years ago how I used to be, that everybody can look out their own window now all over the world, and if you're patient enough and give it a month or a week, you're going to see something incredible in the sky. People who don't notice anything, that's cool. Let's take a person like myself or you, who, let's say, watches the sky regularly, and I'm not talking about getting an amazing, you know, hill or a great elevated view of sunset or sunrise. I'm just saying, if you have an open area and if you look up every day throughout the year, you're going to see 10, 15, 20 very strange, very anomalous patterns in the sky, or rays, or other phenomena, as well as possibly craft, plasmatic exchanges between objects, you know, plasma, like not lightning. They used to say lightning never strikes in the same place twice. Now it does. And not just lightning, you know, kind of spidering off, but giant stationary objects that seem to pulsate and flash like giant globes, or globes, big plasmatic balls, and then it'll shoot off a purple one, and it'll shoot all the way around the horizon, 180 degrees to the other side of the horizon, and it'll clash with a giant yellow object. I've seen this, and somehow it's changed. But it, it still happens. It's just not so much here. Would I say that one individual can possibly be effective in somehow changing the weather locally around them? You bet. You think they don't know that? Let's say that in major populated areas that they have to adapt the sky as much as they can. They have to change their technologies. They have to continue to improve every day. You think they don't? You think there aren't think tanks that focus on that 24/7? Yeah. I'll just spend a few more minutes talking about the presidential promise to come out about UAPs and other phenomena. The fact that he was, because it's all about what he is supposed to like about anybody liking him, right? That's the interesting thing about Trump or any other super complete, megalomaniac narcissist. Is he could care less about your opinion. It's more about how he feels about the fact that you have an opinion and that it has to go with his opinion, whether it fluctuates or not. Because he's all gung ho, super president man. I would imagine he has little Captain America tidy whities, little red, white, and blue underwear, boxers or whatever. Because he's all gung ho about it. But then the next thing you know, and this is spooky. It gives me goosebumps right now to have these goosebumps, because after these press releases, then they all hustle in the little rooms right next to the rooms where they have to watch the sky because of people like you and me, and they all talk about, well, that was good, that wasn't good. We need to keep them, focused on this and that. Well, now that was kind of serious. You really, sir, you sounded like you were about to bust out the chops of, Intel and classified such and such, okay, we'll just figure it out, spit it out a date, the 14th. Okay, well, 14th is coming up, sir, it's the 14th. Well, just postpone it, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, just kind of play it off. Do that. And that's been his MO for the last couple of days. Well, it's going to come out, whatever. It's just, I've seen them. For those of you who are into that kind of stuff, me, I'm, take it or leave it. That irks me for all three people that are watching right now. It does. He might forget, yeah, your average American, that cares about such things. Will they remember the nuances of him, his body language, what he emphasizes when he goes on these rants about these particular issues? I mean, I watched his, I'm not sure if it was a State of the Union address. It was late last week or earlier this week. I can't remember. I don't care. But it was, 4 in the afternoon-ish, and I'm listening to him, and he's giving this speech about stuff. And I like listening because I notice patterns, syncopation, rhythm, timing. And the main thrust of his spiel, and I was cooking and stuff, so the TV was off in the other room, and the ringing, woo. TV was off in the other room. That ringing, by the way, sometimes it makes me sick. And I've noticed that before throughout the years, but I've noticed recently that it's particularly interesting, with kind of a vertigo, sort of turned inside out, the rinse cycle of a washing machine, inside outness of time. I'm not sure. Yeah, and during his speech, there were there were two things really that he was focusing on, and it was laughable to me. One was that there's going to be some kind of extra incentive for bartenders and firemen to keep working because they're either going to get tax cuts or they're going to get to keep their tips. He was really gung ho about that, and I wanted to kick him in his teeth. I thought, to myself how truly displaced he is from having to go to the grocery store and dare fill a cart or or try to get his car fixed now that we have the added help of speed humps all over the cities, which is not good for your car. But the politicians all hang out with people who own chain auto repair places, and they all benefit from that. It's getting, I mean, I wonder, when the last time any of those people have really experienced going and looking for an apartment in a halfway decent town, in a halfway decent part of town, and walk away like myself, realizing you're better off, with some cardboard and some duct tape somewhere under a really nice sycamore tree. You'd be happier off for it. I'm in it to either, okay, a little square box with a little tiny square box off of that to sleep in, back into this little square box. Sure, it's all modern and there's a pool, but it's a box and it costs $1,300 a month. Yeah, that's feasible. Magnus, WAP, think. Art the Alien Files, I guess you could call it X-Files just for fun. Is it supposed to be fully declassified yet? It's not. No. And that's what oh gosh, did I even write his name down? I didn't. What a dumbass. What's his name? Tim Burchett. Yeah, I wrote it down. Yeah, so Trump is just, he's just playing with it. And as I've taken a big step back and I can kind of reflect a little bit more on stuff, I'm thinking, okay, so here he is talking about this little segment of the economy. Then I hear him talking about 111 bombs. And I know what he was talking about, and I'm going to stay clear of that whole topic because I realize their machine is going to keep trudging on to what Trump said, which is that Palestine will be the new Riviera, will be the Riviera of the Middle East. He said it. I didn't put it in my notes, but it brings to mind the fact that at around the same time, if not the same night of the Great Chicago Fire, for instance, there were over 100 fires. And I'm not sure if it was that exact night. Don't get me wrong. I'm realizing that I'm going to have to vet most of what I see now on social media because it's either, it can be AI or, I'm not sure how it's all so infiltrated now. But over 100 cities, from what I understand, were burned at the same time. And then you have the mud floods. And then you have, I didn't realize that the Cabbage Patch Kids, I haven't researched it yet. Let me write that down. But there were actually, and I had a sneaking suspicion, I don't know why, but it has to do with, the time frame that I guess I need to study more of around from 1750 to the late 1800s when they were insane asylums all over the world. And there seems to be this evidence of this global amnesia where there were droves of orphan children, and some of them were called Cabbage Patch Kids. And I need to really figure that out. Trump is the master of chaos magic. He is. That's what I'm saying. He's so gung-ho, middle of the road chaos, but not because he's a billionaire I mean, I thought about that yesterday or today as I was on my knees trimming weeds out in a big hot field somewhere. I thought, who brags? You know, whatever, because they have $7 million, $7 billion in the bank. Who says that? Who needs to say that? And his pomp and his circumstance, I don't know. You know, I do know that he's a puppet, and that's why I'm going to stay out of the politics and the geopolitics of what's going on halfway around the world right now for just nefarious reasons, you know, at the cost of innocent life, and at the cost of, you know, the innocence left of humanity, and the reckoning that's coming from it. Beware and learn. I mean, that is my new motto, and it's better than YouTube, social media, whatever. I like having a TikTok channel. There's a strange kind of love over there for the cap, and I don't need it. I will work and crawl in the dirt and take buses. You know, I might take a bus once a month now just to remind myself that I can do it. It's a half-hour walk up the street. I watch everybody else in this place do it. I try to give people rides. But I'm just not too proud for anything. And that's a powerful feeling. You know, I'm doing this because I feel called. You know, and the term Skywatcher, I mean, watch that become a precious term at some point during the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Because a lot of people, first off, a lot more people are going to start watching the sky. It has only begun. They can only hide this for so long. Where the pen on my capital pen, you know. But to watch the sky means to notice daily nuances of everything from the insects around you to the birds to, you know, what part of your route to work, you know that you can look between these two specific houses and you're going to see sunrise, and you can match it minute to minute, day to day. You notice things that most people might not notice. And I've noticed for 10 years the drastic decrease in lightning bugs. Because in a humid little town, I mean, rat ass humid. This is a humid little city. And spring and the lightning bugs used to be a Hobbit-esque experience. It was straight up like being in the Shire in Lord of the Rings. It was. When the lightning bugs come out. I saw one a week ago. I wouldn't be surprised if they're supposed to be out. No, it'll be next month. You know, I saw one. But over the years, I've noticed just you can't even say that the population of lightning bugs now in Cincinnati is half. It's a tenth what it used to be. Hi, Max Maximus. Hi, Marloreni. It was amazing. And now you barely see them. So, keeping it simple, keeping it survival. You know, having been in survival mode and buying a bunch of survival stuff and survival gear and, you know, a stethoscope for crying out loud, or whatever you call that, periscope, you know, for life. None of that makes any difference. Because it's about sensing the people around you and whether you can raise the bar or not. I get to see how desperate people are. That's all. You know, and beware and learn. And it's not so much about acting tough or how you carry yourself. It's just, you know, don't leave blank checks lying around and Just look at people and tell them, put some fruit on it. So I'd beware and I learn. So back to his speech to America. I need to write that down. What you said. It's a grimoire. It's Master of Chaos Magic. And that's part of why, the composer saw fit to pull me back enough from social media for a minute to where I realized I'm getting caught up in the chaos magic. Because I certainly was like, ooh, well, Trump just said, but see, I knew right off rip he was just jealous of Barack. I didn't hear nothing about no damn UFOs. I just thought, Barack Hussein Obama is stealing the spotlight. All casual, like, kick back in a chair, talking about, I don't believe anything about no Area 51, I don't know, tunnels or whatever, Like, I don't care, that's below me. Next thing, what, he shouldn't have been talking about that. It's off limits. It's classified. You can get in big trouble for that. Big trouble. I'm thinking, nigga, you're talking about Barack. You're in big trouble. It's fucking Barack. And I was like, hold on, Trump's jealous. This is the first shit I was thinking, folks. Hold on. Trump's pissed off. And then the next day, it was all over the fucking news. Trump, and then the next year, the war mongers and Pentagon and everybody comes out. I was like, my ass. Big time jealous. Heck, I'm jealous, lol. He was one smooth brother. I was jealous too. That's fine, because that was first off, I was like, fuck you, Barack. I was about to call him because he's my cousin. We talk about, Barack, fuck you mean ain't no 51? I'm kidding. I'm kidding you too. Oh, but I was like, oh, what? Because I part wanted to believe him. He's my cousin after. I was like, shit. Hold on. Cuz. What do you mean? Cake in the lake. Scripted bullshit. I know, but you gotta hand it to him. He played that shit all smooth. He's like, Area 51. Next thing you know, Trump, what do you mean? Man, you think stole the spotlight? You come out with the War Department, the Pentagon, all up in front of the podium and shit. I was like, I don't believe it. Hold on, yeah. Not a word. Not a fucking word. So that was a waste of my time, to be honest with you. It really was. I started to realize, okay, so now Steven Spielberg's movies coming out, and then we've got this kind of, like some of you are, attesting to, sort of, little circus of this stuff. Then go to find out about these 10, 11, 12 scientists over the last couple of years who've been disappearing under really, really interesting circumstances, super suspicious, super sketchy circumstances, some of them sounding almost supernatural. Don't get upset about people who don't know. Because if two florists had come up missing in the United States under sketchy circumstances, that would have raised a couple of eyebrows. If three of them, florists, mind you, or a butcher, or fitness coaches, if there were that kind of a pattern, and I don't want to exaggerate, but three super intelligent physicists or engineers or chemists or astrophysicists or particle, collider specialists, these people, these super accredited, super important people who've worked with highly classified information or subject matter or materials. If a pattern like this had arisen, don't you think that wow, there are no people here, it says. Now there's one person here. It's just so weird. Fortunately, I've been able to really distance myself. I mean, I'm super. It's 10:30. You all know me. A month and a half ago, I'd have been like, it's 10:30. I haven't eaten dinner yet, but I'm going to go 5 hours, talk about every leaf that blows by the wind, and maybe it's the east wind that's in the Lost Book of Enki. You know what I'm saying? Just bruh. But there are some pretty important things that I think are really worth talking about. Bartenders can keep their tips, and that's going to make the economy start bumping again. Because I'm doing it. I'm just like, bruh. The only reason I was watching, I wanted to see if he said anything about UAPs, and he didn't. High declinage. Declinage. Isn't that a scientific term? Well, I'm bewaring and learning. Bewaring. I like making fun of myself. I've been laughing at myself more and more these days. And I realize how little my witty observations mean. But I keep watching this guy. And it never lets me down. I guess it's a side note. I was going to make it the premise of the video, but I thought, no. Everybody's got this guy. They're getting better at manipulating it somehow. And the result is that it's going to continue to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And I could talk till I'm blue in the face about the sky, but you see it. If you don't, you will. If you're not a sky watcher, you will be. It's inevitable. And it might not, and it's going to continue to get very, very strange in terms of weather patterns. It's chilled out recently. It has. I mean, of course, in Illinois and, throughout the Midwest, there's been storms and there've been floods and fires. I haven't seen all the evidence of it, but there's some really interesting times coming. And humanity will make it through. And we will adapt, I guess. So this is just coming from my heart. There were a lot of inconsistencies about the Artemis launch. I'm just saying. I mean, first off, I couldn't help but notice a few comments on a myriad of channels, one of which being sort of another surprise launch from NASA. Now, I'm credentialed enough, just, it's like not credentialed, but I've got enough clout to recognize how very quick the announcement was for the launch of the James Webb. And in reflecting and in looking back, in retrospect, looking over these last 6 months, how quickly the Artemis launch was put on us. Now, don't get me wrong, because I've known about this for months now, but I still think it's interesting how very thrown together this looks, as well as the information coming out that can't all just be AI, that at least that two of the crew were from a casting agency. One of them was in Fallout. One was in, I believe it was, what's that movie with the Mad Max girl? And the escape pods. Yes. JBO 3000. Yeah. TR3B unclog itself. Follow the Treb spotting. Yeah, it's fantastic that you bring that up. Hi, Elise Brown. Hello, Seven. I'm glad I'm on here to see you again. Yeah, no, I've just been surviving, keeping my head down. I never worked so hard in my life. It's interesting. I didn't think that, working with steel would be that hard, but it's steel, and it doesn't move. It doesn't budge. It's very unyielding. And I believe it drains, literally, the sap out of your bones, being around large quantities of raw steel. How do they make those water droplets float around? Well, I mean, I could go on and on about it. When it's that rain that's not rain, it's just droplets of, I guess, whatever they want to call it. The media, of course, calls it rain. They don't say a word about mist. They might say that it's foggy out and it's raining. It's not a drop of rain. It's like this silicon, lighter than air. Just, it wafts. Hundreds, trillions, billions, trillions of little lighter than air specks that, and when they hit your windshield wipers smudge it, but so does your defrost. It's chemical. It's not water. And sometimes it'll do that for a month in any one given place all over the world in populated areas. And yes, a lot of this, I'm not sure if you can prove it statistically overnight or with the click of a button, of course, because not even Google's going to help you do it. But a lot of this is taking place in America. And I can definitely, and we can all, I at least have always thought, why is the UK always cloudy and stuff? It's close to Stonehenge. So I don't know, but I'm kind of going all over the place. I'm just relating to you all. I'm plugging back in. Artemis. Casting people? Okay, all right. How about that old lady who's totally going viral right now? It's on a short, and it's not AI. Whoever it is, it's one of the elite, some old lady, and she's just kind of nonchalantly talking about, how there's only one species, is aware and conscious, and and then she goes ahead and says what now is the fearful, strange reality of what the super elite are, is coming out about them. Their voracious appetites as part predatory, as vampiric, as evil to the core. You know, I thought about it yesterday. I think about it every day. How I'm driving on my way to work, and there's a bus, and it puts its red lights on, which means stop. And how I stopped, and 4, 5, 6 cars, because I live in the hood. I'm telling you, I'm sick of the hood, and I do have fatigue, by the way. I do. Just drive by. 5 cars, just drive right by. The school bus is to my left on the other side of the street. And I thought about that lack of concern for those kids, first off, from those 5 examples of shittiness that drove by me. But also, the fact that on the back of buses used to be pictures of kids, big ones, and on milk cartons, missing ones. And now there's not anymore, any more than there's a war on drugs. See what I'm saying? It's so interesting how the whole paradigm really isn't even about faking, about caring anymore, about finding a missing anyone or anything, to the degree that they used to pretend. Because now it's out in the open, quite the opposite, and the converse of what's really going on. And it's scary. Back to Artemis. What were those 4 stupid ass things that came shooting down as the big plume of fire came out of the bottom? You know, I'll research ancient history, the Crusades, the Inquisitions. You know, I'll spend a couple of months on World War I or World War II, but it doesn't take watching any more than 1 or 2 videos to have wondered, what is that? I mean, the water droplets in the spaceship. Alien Scientists YouTube channel. Oh, let me write that down. Well, and the one girl, I guess, who'd come back, and you know, and she has the baseball cap on, and she's talking about, you know, some things that she saw in space, and it's just a little life raft. And then I guess her feed died or something, and she didn't know what to talk about, and said that she was clueless and lost the whole point in the first place of what it meant to be on the moon. I don't know. I've almost like boycotted social media. It's becoming so stupid anymore. I'm kidding. I mean, I work too much. I've even had the discipline to like stop my subscription to Netflix and Disney, Hulu, and stuff. I don't even watch stupid movies anymore. I just work. Chaos Magic. I mean, I'm really glad that we went live together tonight, because I've been really bereft of enough energy to have any healing magic or good. I mean, you know, in terms of social media and going live and being fun and having something fun to talk about and cool. No, because I can feel it in the waves that are going on, being super tired, just waves of like this depressed hopelessness that I started the video off again with saying that when you notice those things, don't try to do any fancy spiritual martial arts with it. Just rebuke it. Tell it no. It can't have you. And you don't have to get all Christian, artsy, religious on it. You can if you want to. I do. I certainly do. But you can just tell it that you're breathing and you've got enough for right now, and you're happy the way you are. Try this, folks. This is gonna fuck a lot of you up right off rip. If you had the chance to be anybody else in the world right now, would you really do it? Would you really, really do it? Now, if you have a terminal illness right now, or if you're experiencing chronic, deadly, torturous pain, he'd be Brooke Shields or somebody. I mean, that girl's so pretty. Shit, if I could come back to somebody, I'd be Brooke Shields. But no, Michael Jackson, James Brown. No, I'm kidding. Because I thought about it yesterday, and it wasn't me thinking it. Which is why I insist a lot of this shit is quantum, and we'll talk about the quantum in a minute. But I was like, nobody. That would be gross. It'd be stupid. What would be the point? I'm just getting good at being me. Fuck. I have to learn everything they like to eat all over again type shit. No. Ew. I mean, I'm able to flip the script spiritually on that kind of stuff. But if you start having a, one-sided conversation with a voice inside your head that's telling you you're not good enough, and then it gets to the point, one of those, the worst 3 point, you're wishing you were somebody else. Would you really? Ew. Somebody else's skin. They're like this. Bye. Bye. But you got to eat it. Left-handed, come out all right-handed. Fuck, you don't feel right at all. I'm supposed to like this. They're rich and beautiful, and their teeth are real white. Everything's perfect, but it don't feel like it fits right. There are a million different excuses the enemy can tell you. It sucks, and I only need one or two. Tell them why I don't. I'm upright right now. That's the first reason. Second one is I get to lay it down horizontal like in a minute. There's a lot goes on in between those two things, but fuck, man. You know what I mean? Look up, sky like, look around me, everything's cha-ching. Lay it down, start all over again tomorrow. But always be looking up, ready to catch the sky. Where is it? Okay, so I'm going to get into the quantum, what quantum computers are doing right now. It's incredible, and it's not unbelievable at all. But let me just finish about the Artemis. I mean, so people from a casting crew, and there's little slidey capsule things, because I don't want to say escape hatches. It's just that I've been watching NASA and their launches since I was a little boy, and I've never seen a pulley system. Something that looked like it belonged in a medieval siege tower. Like a catapult. Or something like that from the Middle Ages. First thing I thought of was water. Some kind of release valve. Some pressure release. No.
Oh, man.
No, none of those things. And the angle and the size of them, and how Avengers-esque it was. Another thing, and I posted it on TikTok, but not on YouTube. But I got home from work again. It's interesting to see TVs that like people will just turn on and put on the news on. It's interesting because you will see the street. I feel like I've gone to a circus. When I walk into a house and I've been, on a barge or on the docks or in a factory all day and life is real, and then walk in and see a big 52-inch screen with TV on or with the news on, especially if it's CNN or some of the bigger channels. It's weird. Talk about chaos magic and a grimoire. What are my other words for it? It's like a beauty pageant. I always forget the word. Always. A trebuchet. Yeah, I was thinking the time it did. First thing it reminded me with Legos. Little dinosaur things you move, but you have to have little levers and stuff. I was like, why? All of a sudden, wait, hold on now. This is NASA. Most up-to-date rocket, the Orion rocket, most powerful rocket ever. There's 4 little levers. So I get home and the TV's on one day. And now, mind you, they've been up there a couple days, whatever, and all that. And I walk in and it just shows the back of the ship, the back of the shuttle. Now I know that NASA just does stuff like that. They just have the camera kind of pointed at nothing. But the news was making it so big, but it was just the ass end of the ship. And then it went on, and they were talking about how to maneuver the shuttle at certain points. They have people operating a simulator. And it's on TikTok, so you can go look me up on TikTok and find it. I had the couth to, not post it on YouTube because I just don't want to look like I troll NASA. I think it'd be rude. It's not my style. But they were talking about how oftentimes before, and they kind of accidentally referred to maybe at that exact point, operate the shuttle with earthbound people in a simulator. Does it ring a bell for anyone? Ring a bell? Lower Manhattan over a decade ago? At the exact same time as real time, what was occurring, there just happened to be, a big old simulation going on right now of the exact same thing happening in a certain branch of the military. Yeah. So as soon as I hear that, again, it makes me start loading my trebuchet. Trebuchet. And that's a tongue twist. No, it's not really, but it's just. And it was interesting because the 2 young ladies that were there announcing for that part of the news for NASA, they couldn't have been 25 each between the 2 of them. And they were and they looked like they were dressed for prom. How stupid they think the people are getting. And I didn't put this in my notes, but I thought about it earlier today. Sometimes I do like to title my videos that the elite, they're starting to slip up. Or they're just letting themselves be more brazen on purpose. I'm not sure. I even wonder about the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. I really thought about that because the elite, and Chris Rock is one of the elite, I'm sorry, but they've all got bodyguards. These big studio production sets, they've got security. They've got people whose jobs it is to make sure that nobody just runs up on screen, hauls off, and slaps another celebrity. And I'm never on the edge of my seat with anything really these days, unless it's that's a lie. That's a complete lie. Yes, I am. predation in Africa. If it's a real video and not AI anymore, I'm on the edge of my seat, or I'm about to watch one of the Avengers movies again, because they're so good. But you know what I'm saying. Chaos magic. That's just incredible. And there were other inconsistencies with that launch. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now. Hey, ABCD, what's up? What thinks? The answers to questions for the Alien X-Files are practically metaphorically under our noses. The black government is just helping to cover up. Yeah, I mean, again, folks, forgive me for not having a very well prepared layout for tonight. I've just been so amazed by a lot of this kind of stuff. I mean, what are the things? Uh, Back to Tim Burchett for a second, and and chaos magic, and the whole UAP scenario, along with Trump, along with the Steven Spielberg movie coming out, along with the fact that, like, you and I, you have to understand that to a degree you're in a singularity, or you are a singularity. You're caught up in one because you're really aware. And to do that, post 2020, mind you, just puts a strange kind of, beacon above you and around you. There's this strange reaction. You don't have to say anything. We're not super outspoken. I'm not. I show up. My phone is down. I don't talk about YouTube. I don't talk about this guy. I mean, I look up and I might videotape something, but nobody sees what I'm seeing. I don't wear it out. I don't let anybody. I don't talk about it with my family. I just shut up about it. But there's something upbeat about being aware that I've definitely noticed, and I'm going to say it for you. I've been saying a lot of things for you so you don't have to, or you don't have to feel alone in it. Because being super aware of everything to a trying to go to the quantum, trying to notice everything. It's not even trying to go to the quantum. It's that you're so attuned to the minutia of everything going on around you these days, including geopolitics, the news, sports, your kids' grades. I'm not sure, but you're focused. You're not letting anything sidetrack you, and to do so means that you're seeing, let's say, at the speed of light. Let's say that you've plugged into a certain Tesla potential, which is actually a quantum physics term. Your potential, your quantum potential. Let's just say that you're doing it. Let's say that you're somehow affecting your magnetic field to where it's tuned more closely to, the higher frequencies of the Schumann resonance, or, so forth and so on. I can say it for you because, like it or not, that probably is happening to you, and it's painful. It's uncomfortable. I'm asking that question, actually. I'm up talking. Is it painful? Is it uncomfortable? Well, I think so for certain people around us. If you're an empath, if you've abandoned your crutches, or again, your excuses, or your comfort zones, or if you're learning to go ahead and build a new comfort zone for yourself, if you've cleaned house, if you're in any kind of recovery or treatment, if you're taking steps to, you know, take inventory and rebuild your life, if you're going to join seminary, if you're going to go on a vacation, but you have to save up for a year for it, but you know you can do it. You know, not maybe, not I might, but I'm going to save up for a year and then rent a U-Haul or no, an RV and get to Yosemite Park. And I don't even know where that is, but I just wanted to say it at least once in my life. Yosemite National Park. I can drive there in an RV with some friends and sing, 1,000 bottles of beer on the wall all the way there. Do something different. And sometimes that, that in doing so, I've noticed what I couldn't have summed up any better. Again, I'm glad I went live tonight. It's sensing the strings of chaos around us, very much like in the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I swear that those guys watch my channel. The sacred timeline under attack or being shredded apart. CERN supposedly is shut down right now for 3 years. Right. But there's over 30,000 particle colliders on the face of the Earth, folks. You think they're not all interconnected? You think that they're not smashing particles together at the speed of light almost all over the world in multiple facilities? You think that they're not connected? Which is why the internet had to be created? You think they're not all timed to create certain certain results that, if done precisely all over the world at certain points, might not be shifting the timeline? Because I don't say messing with the magnetic field. No, I'll say what it is: hiding us in time. I have a sneaking suspicion. I don't even prove. I just feel like I get sucked backwards or sideways in times sometimes. Makes me feel sick. I feel like I'm being peeled inside out from the outside, from the inside. I feel like I'm being turned inside out. It's gross. It's a real sick feel. I call it time sick. I'm the only person I've heard so far in all of social mediadom who's said that. Because I've always gotten seasick. I get car sick. Don't talk about airplane sick. But I feel the fabric of space-time get ripped apart. I do. Intermittently sometimes. Including when the Hadron, what a bunch of maroons, shadow government. Yeah. It's insane how secret this stuff is, yet they're able to keep it secret for so long. The secret alien X-Files is insane and secret. Well, I can tell you one thing about their secrets. They sell. Another reason why it was cool to take a big step back. And then to stop at 11 o'clock and, maybe go live again tomorrow or something, because this is interesting. It sells. Simplification for me. This entire deal in Iran right now. And I'm sure that they've already got movies scripted, like Top Gun-esque, Save the Pilot, Black Hawk Down. I'm sure they've already got an Artemis movie. And then they'll have a video game for both scenarios. And then they'll have custom designer patchwork outfits. And see what I'm saying? It's just interesting how everything is a brand. And I'm standing in line wondering, what I'm going to put in my grocery bag. To kind of, the trough being filled for society to gorge themselves on, while we're seeing the morphing the morphology of human beings in physically on screen, the elites, media, and so forth. I could spend the next hour on the Freudian slips and the vernacular and the speech faux pas and misspeech of so many people in front of so many podiums and in front of so many microphones on everything from CNN to you name it, in terms of the slip-ups that are coming out right now about exactly what Tim Burchett is talking about. Somebody mentioned it earlier. Something that I didn't take notes on, but it's in the back of my mind, and I'll probably take notes on it at some point, is the fact that, oh no, I didn't talk about quantum computers yet. No, okay, I'm not going to end the video exactly yet. Quantum computers are learning how to map the human genome. Okay? And I thought that was kind of scary enough as it is. And it's inevitable. It really is. Me as a naturalist, to a degree. First off, I can't even, call myself that, because I like to drink my mocha monsters, and I went to the gas station, the grocery store. I'm plugged into the matrix like anybody else is. But even my untrained mind can understand that humanity, to move forward in any capacity, is quantum computers are here. We're going to need to map the human genome to cure cancer and diabetes and leukemia, right? To do the right things with, right? We're not going to weaponize things, are we? No, right? No, of course not. Whichever way you slice it, folks, AI is going to know us on a molecular level, and at some point, invariably, at a subatomic level, at a quantum level, if it doesn't already. Meanwhile, it comes out that quantum computers are probably operating in multiple dimensions at once. I've been chewing on that for a year now, like a cow with a mouthful of cud. How can quantum computers be, why would they be in the multiverse? How could they be in the multiverse? Well, it's math. Somehow, to put the long short, somehow just math alone, when crunched enough, ends up leading to, for quantum computers, to not just figure out a problem or to search for the answer to a question in one dimension. Quantum computers have reached the point where it asks the same question or approaches a problem and realizes that if it plays that scenario out with slight variations, this is intense. With slight variations in any variable, that it has a chance of coming to the conclusion or solving the problem twice as quickly. But then those two do the same thing, and it begins to increase exponentially at such a rapid pace that quantum computers are trying to figure out an answer to a question in a multiverse, and not Stephen Strange, not the Avengers, not in a magical Hollywood kind of way. It's just, it makes sense to the computers to do this, and they're able to do it in the numbers. Now, I wouldn't have worried so much about that. It makes sense. But then I look at what quantum computers were, let's say, tasked with before that ended up making itself so 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 glaringly well known now. And that's that it was tasked with mapping the human genome. How do I feel about something knowing how to map me or any other human being genetically, having access to the multiverse, be it on a calculator or in its imagination in the first place? That is really, really troubling to me, or very interesting now that I'm deciding not to freak out about everything. Lily. Yeah, so, that does kind of sum it up. And now it is 11 o'clock. I thought that was a tall can of Old English. Oh, no. No, I don't drink alcohol. Ooh, I used to drink OE. Ooh. So, hey, I'm going to go back to being rendered speechless, but in a good kind of way. I'm becoming like a very sharp piece of ice, with steel at its core, because, the streets are rough. And, let's just pray for the young people of this world right now, from the streets to the far out back to the bush, but especially in the cities. In Jesus' name, I just pray for young people. I pray for this whole world, that the real truth of everything that we need, especially as sky watchers, that we just remember that it's inevitable. I think they're hiding us from your return. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I really do. I just think, it's like the saying, all roads lead to Rome. If there's nothing to see in the sky, then why only spray the west at sunset? The plot doth thicken for me, even if I get boring sometimes, because life does happen, doesn't it? It's the captain, y'all. I love you. Be seeing you all soon.